So in this video I'm going to track hands in the dark using YOLO2, IntelRealSense and gamma correction. So my objective is to detect gloved hands, gloved as in like the gloves which surgeons use during surgeries, in the dark with extreme lighting. So I train YOLO2 on the egohands dataset, this dataset, and in here right now the settings is of the IntelRealSense camera exposure settings is set to default, which is 166, and the gamma correction is turned off. So now I'm going to run the YOLO on IntelRealSense using my trained network. So this is how it looks. So this is the basic or the default setting where I have not turned on the LED lights. So, and here is my hand. It's pretty dark because lights are off. So in here, as you can see, there are a couple of numerical values in here. Here this is the detected object, this is the confidence of the detected object, and by continuity I mean in the it's a moving average calculation of the last 100 frames. I'm assuming that there will always be a hand in the image, and out of the last 100 images, in how many of them have I been able to detect any hand. It can be 2, 3, doesn't matter, but I have to in how many of the previous 100 images have I been able to detect hands. So if I move my hand from here, as you can see, the continuity value, it drops down. Alright, so now I'm going to turn on the lights to create a similar environment as operating rooms. So I have 3 very bright LED lights from different directions. So now, as you can see, outside the areas, YOLO can very nicely detect my hand. Continuity value is 1. Inside the region of interest, as you can see, it's struggling to detect my hand, although it's just stable in here. That is because for the extreme brightness in here, all the features of my hand has been bleached out from the image, and YOLO cannot recognize it as a hand. So the continuity value has dropped down to 0. Alright, so now I'm going to turn down the exposure of the camera. So I'm going to set it to 15. LED lights are still on. Gamma correction is turned off still, just like before. So now everything is same. I've just decreased the exposure of the camera. So now, as you can see, now in the region of interest, the camera can detect my hand, but not that well though. It jumps around, right? But still, about 80 to 95%. That's pretty nice. Almost sometimes 100%. That's very nice. But what if I go towards the top right of the image, on a corner of the image? So what happens is that there is a very diffuse light in here, and YOLO cannot detect my hand very nicely. So it jumps around from 25% or 70%, 50, 40%, sometimes drop to 0%. That's very bad. I mean, on this side, on the bottom right corner, can't detect my hand. In here, on the top right corner, sorry, it's top left corner of the image, it can't detect. Outside the table, it definitely cannot detect my hand. So how do I handle this? I tried out several things. So, and finally I tried out gamma correction, and that seems to work pretty nicely for me. So now I'm going to show the difference. It's pretty so this is the gamma corrected image, everything else is the same. Now this is again on the top right corner. As you can see, it has jumped from like some 0%. It was like from before it was like 0% to 30-40%. Now it's always above 50%, 65%. It's jumping around in that region. On that side, before it was completely 0. Now still it's finding it difficult, but still at least sometimes it is detecting, and you're getting a good 25%. On this side, it being you can detect the hands before it was 0%. Here you can detect the hands very nicely as well before it was 100% about before it was impossible. On the outside of the region you can sometimes detect the hand. Before it was absolutely impossible. And inside the region, it's just like before, it's 100%. So the bottom line is that after gamma correction, you can detect your hand outside the region of interest. But if you go too far away from the region of interest and the exposure, and also the exposure level is way too much low, then you are in trouble. You cannot detect your hand. So yeah, that's it. So thank you.